So we are starting today with our very important topic, the one that you will draw in your P4 exam, income and substitution effect. Now, so to learn about income and substitution effect, you need to learn the basics of this topic first. You see, there is a term called price effect. Price effect, also known as total effect. When we talk about price effect or total effect, price effect is equals to income effect plus substitution effect. So we are catering two things here, income effect and substitution effect. Now first, let's get our hands over price effect. What price effect is? Now you see this is a normal downward sloping demand curve in front of you, all right? This is normal your demand curve price and quantity. And this is my normal downward sloping demand curve, which in which the initial price level was P and initial quantity consumed was Q. As there was a decrease in price level, my quantity demand will extend from Q to Q1, right? This is how we used to study in our O level and AS, price level P to P1 and quantity Q to Q1, movement along the curve from point A to point B, right? Now, the movement is occurring in my demand curve due to decrease in my price level. And when I say decrease in my price level, I am able to identify what is the change in my real income, because real income percentage is equals to nominal income percentage minus inflation percentage, right? This is the formula of real income. Now, if I say that my price level is falling, which means that my inflation rate is falling, keeping my nominal income constant, what will happen to my real income? My real income will rise. This is how the scenario goes, right? If a price level is falling, your real income is rising. So this is what price effect is, that due to decrease in your price level or total effect, due to decrease in your price level, there will be changes in your budget line and overall in your real income. Now let's talk about substitution effect. This is a normal indifference curve in front of you, good Y and good X. All right. And this is a normal indifference curve in front of you. Now, what does this indifference curve tells you? This tells you that if I am operating at point A, where I am getting, let's say, this amount of utils from good Y and this amount of utils from good X, and I am operating at point A, if I reduce my consumption for good Y and increase my consumption for good X, my utils for good Y will fall from Y to Y1, and my utils for good X will rise from X to X1, and I will move along the indifference curve from point A to point B. You see, whenever I am traveling along the indifference curve, this means that I am substituting one good with the other one. Now, in this case, utils from Y are decreasing, which means that I am substituting my good Y with good X, because I am consuming more of good X now. So what you need to understand is, whenever there is a movement along the indifference curve, whenever there is a movement along the indifference curve, whenever there is a movement along the indifference curve, you will get your substitution effect. Why am I getting my substitution effect? Because my indifference curve, whenever I travel along the indifference curve, it tells me that how am I substituting my good Y with good X? All right, the amount of substitution that has been going on. So whenever you're traveling along one indifference curve, this identifies substitution effect. And whenever there's a change in your price level, this identifies price effect. So if the formula goes price effect is equals to income effect plus substitution effect, I have my price effect, I have my substitution effect. What I need to find out is I need to find out my income effect. So I will shift my substitution effect here, right? I will shift my substitution effect here. So income effect is equals to price effect or total effect minus substitution effect. Everything clear up till now? All right. Now let's revise the income consumption curve and price consumption curve that we learned in the last class. So, in the most easiest way, when we combine price consumption curve and income consumption curve together, we get our income and substitution effect diagram. Income and substitution effect diagram. All right. Now we have to combine both of them. Now let's just revise the basic fatwas of these diagrams. What used to happen in price consumption curve? This is my good Y. This is my good X. This is my initial budget line AB. This is my initial indifference curve IC. All right. And this is my initial equilibrium level E. And this is my initial equilibrium quantity of good X. As there was a decrease in price for good X only, my budget line will tilt rightwards from AB to AC, keeping point A constant because there is no change in my good Y, right? Because there is no change in my good Y, so I won't change the maximum budget line of my good Y. So it will tilt from AB to AC, and then there will be a new equilibrium created determining whether the good is normal good, inferior good, or any other good. Now, if I talk about ICC, what happens in ICC? There occurs a shift because my purchasing power rises for both of these goods. All right, this is why good X, good Y, good X. Now, this is my initial budget line AB. This is my initial budget line AB. There is an initial indifference curve that is IC. And this is my initial equilibrium quantity that is X. Now, due to increase in my income, my budget line will shift rightwards from AB to CD because of increase in my purchasing power. Everything clear? You remember now? All right. Now, if I sum up both of these concepts, I'll be able to draw the diagram of income substitution effect. Now, there are two ways to draw the diagram. The first one is the examiner's method, which I will tell you, and then my own method, which is comparatively an easier one. And in the end, you will be getting the same diagram according to the question. Right now, I'm drawing 80% diagram in front of you. I'll not draw 100% diagram, the complete diagram in front of you. I'm drawing only 80% diagram. All right. Now, there is a case that, let's say, indirect taxes are falling. Indirect taxes will fall soon, right? Indirect tax will fall soon, which means that if indirect taxes are falling, your price level will fall. Once your price level falls, your real income will rise. All right, your real income will rise, and you have to draw the case of normal good. All right, normal good. Now, what is normal good? Normal good says that if your income level is rising, the demand for normal goods should rise as well. All right, this is the case, basic case. Now let's draw the 80% diagram first. This is good Y and this is good X. All right. This is the examiner's diagram, the way examiner draws. This is your initial budget line AB. At this initial budget line, there will be an indifference curve creating an equilibrium. So this is the indifference curve which is creating an equilibrium like this. All right. This is an indifference curve which is creating an equilibrium like this, I see. And this is your initial equilibrium, that is point E and quantity X. All right. Now, due to a decrease in your indirect tax, your real income will rise. And due to a decrease in indirect tax, your price level is falling. So according to the price consumption curve, if my price level is falling, there is always a tilt in my budget line from AB to AC. So due to decrease in indirect tax and due to decrease in price level, my budget line will tilt rightwards like this from AB to AC. My budget line will tilt from AB to AC. All right. And then there will be a new equilibrium point. Let's say here, a new equilibrium point like this. IC1, a new equilibrium point over here, IC1, equilibrium E1. What the hell happened? All right, IC1, equilibrium E1, and this is my X1. All right, this is my X1. Till now, what do you see? Price consumption curve or income consumption curve? Tell me. Till now, what do you see? Price consumption curve or income consumption curve? No, 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 only for good X. Indirect tax is falling for good X only. Till now, you see price consumption curve. All right. Till now, you see price consumption curve, which means that from point X to point X1, you get your price effect. You get your price effect or total effect, because price effect is also known as total effect. And you can see price consumption curve, which means that from point X to point X1, you get your price effect. Everything clear up till now? Now, from this price effect, you have to find out income effect and substitution effect. Now, you will distribute this total price effect with income effect and substitution effect. Now, Devans, tell me one thing. This budget line AC, this budget line AC is after decrease in your income tax, after decrease in your income tax, right? Oh, sorry, indirect tax. This is after decrease in your indirect tax, which means that let's say this is the income of year 2026, real income of year 2026. All right. But currently, you are in year 2025. All right. Now, Devansh, tell me one thing. If my indirect tax is falling, if my indirect tax is falling, and my income level will rise next year, 2026, what is my income level in the current year? Is current year's income more than 2026's income, or is current year's income less than 2026's income? Is my income higher this year or will it be next year? My real income, is my real income higher this year or the next year when the price level will fall? It is higher next year, which means that in 2026 you have a higher real income, and in 2025 you have a lower real income, right? Now this AC represents which year's income? 2026. If I want to represent current year's income, so should my current year income be higher or lower? It should be lower, right? And the next year it will be higher. So it is higher in AC. So if I draw this year's income, it should be less than AC. And according to income consumption curve, whenever you show the case of income, there is always a shift in budget line. So this AC is year 2026. If I represent year 2025 in this diagram, I will have to show a shift like this. I will have to show a shift like this, which represents that this year's income is less than the next year's income. All right. So I will show a shift like this, which will tell me that this year's income is less than the next year's income. So this is my new budget line, that is EF. All right. And it is creating an equilibrium over here, that is E2. All right. It is creating equilibrium over here, that is E2. And this is my quantity X2. Now I have to distribute my price effect in my substitution effect and my income effect. In the start of this class, I told you that whenever you are traveling along one indifference curve, you will always get substitution effect. Now, according to this diagram, this is the one indifference curve that you are traveling across from E to E2. This is the one indifference curve that is creating two equilibriums. Now, if this is one indifference curve which is creating two equilibriums from E to E2, this means that traveling across one indifference curve will give me substitution effect. Traveling across one indifference curve will give me substitution effect. And the remaining portion that I am left with will be my income effect. It will be my income effect. All right, everything clear? Everything clear? Sir, can you explain how to identify substitution effect and income effect? Very good. Now, let me tell you again how to identify substitution effect and income effect. Do you see these two equilibriums? Do you see these two equilibriums? I'm getting these two equilibriums on the same indifference curve. I'm getting these two equilibriums on the same indifference curve. Whenever you get two equilibriums on the same indifference curve, you'll get substitution effect. All right? You'll get substitution effect. So if I'm traveling along the indifference curve and I'm getting two equilibriums, this means that this is my substitution effect. Now, what about income effect? From E2 to E1, the first thing is that the remaining gap that I'm left with is my income effect. The other way to prove it is that if I remove this line, what do you see? Shift or tilt? Between E1 and E2, what do you see? Shift or a tilt? Shift. And where do you get your shift? Income consumption curve. So between these two equilibriums, you'll get income effect. Clear? All right, now let's talk about this EF line. Give me a second. And we'll talk about this EF line. Yeah, so we were going to discuss about EF. Now, the one concept is this, that it shows next year's income and overall your income is rising. Now, what is the other concept of EF? I'm talking about the budget line EF. Now, listen very carefully. EF is a budget line which represents that if your price level for good X is falling, if your price level for good X is falling, keeping your real income unchanged, which means that if your price level is falling by 5% and at the same time your disposable income also falls by 5%. If your real income is, if your price level is falling by 5% and your disposable income also falls by 5%, there will be no change in your real income. No change in real income. Now, EF is an imaginary drawn line. EF is an imaginary drawn line which says that if your price level is falling, keeping your real income unchanged. If your price level is falling, keeping your real income unchanged, what will be the effect on the overall consumption? Now, it is very logical, and we have also learned in equimargin principle as well that if price level of a certain good falls, people will be more inclined towards that good, right? If price level of good X is falling, I will be more attracted towards good X because my utility per price will rise from good X. All right. So that is the reason why if the price level is falling, keeping real income unchanged, you will show this with this budget line that you are drawing of EF, which is an imaginary line, all right, which shows that there is no change in real income. Everything clear? All right. Now, this was examiner's way of drawing the diagram. Let me tell you my way, which is comparatively more easier because it doesn't matter how you draw the diagram. In the end, it should look the same and it should be the same diagram as examiners. All right. Now, I am drawing the diagram according to my pattern. So, this was the case. And in my diagram, I can also give you a fatwa. So, that is the main thing over here. This was the case that we were drawing, right? Now, and let's figure out the steps while we're at it. This is good Y. This is good X. All right. I'm writing down certain steps that you need to follow to draw this diagram. First step. The first step is to always draw budget lines first. Always draw budget lines first. Don't show the equilibrium. Don't draw indifference curve. Always draw the budget lines first. Now, you see that your price level is falling. This is your initial budget line, AB. Due to fall in indirect taxes or due to fall in price level, your budget line will tilt rightwards from AB to AC like this. All right. AC is next year's income. So current year's income will be less than 2026's income, which means that you have to show an inward shift for current year's income that and show a proper change in real income that my real income is rising in the next year, that is 2026. So the first step is to draw budget lines only. Don't draw any indifference curve. All right. Now, I told you earlier that price consumption curve plus income consumption curve is equals to income and substitution effect. Now, if I remove this line, if I hide this line, you can clearly see a tilt, which is indicating price consumption curve. And if I remove this line, you can clearly see a shift, which is indicating income consumption curve, right? So the first step in every diagram will be to draw the budget line first. The second step is to find X. Find X. Where is X in this diagram? This is the X. All right. Second step is to find X. Third step. Only one indifference curve on X. Only one IC on X. First step is to draw budget lines only. Second step is to find X. Third step is to draw one indifference curve on X. All right. So if I have X over here, this means that there will be one indifference curve only which will create equilibriums. Now see very carefully. This is my indifference curve right here. All right. This is my indifference curve right here. This is my IC. Now my first equilibrium will be here, point E. This is the quantity of X I am consuming over here. My second equilibrium will be here, that is point E1, right? And this is my new quantity X1. Now, which kind of effect am I getting here? Income effect, substitution effect, or price effect? Tell me, hurry up. What effect am I getting over here? No, this is not income effect. How many indifference curves are there? Substitution effect, very good. How many indifference curves do I have? One only. And if I am traveling along one indifference curve only, I'll always get substitution effect. So from x to x1, I will get my substitution effect. Everything clear up till now? Everything clear up till now? From x to x1, I will get my substitution effect. And this is the fatwa diagram. This is the fatwa diagram of price decrease. It doesn't matter which kind of good you're talking about. Normal good, inferior good, given good, necessity good. Doesn't matter. You will draw the same diagram again and again and again until this step. All right. Until this step, you'll draw the same diagram, and which is almost 90% of the diagram. All right. The fourth step is to create equilibrium and substitution effect. All right. Now, I'm copying this page and then I will complete my diagram. So we have fatwa in front of us that if there is a decrease in your price level, it doesn't matter which kind of good you're talking about, you'll draw the diagram same until this point. That is step number 4. Now, I have to show the case of normal good. And normal good says that if your income level is rising, your overall demand for branded good, luxury good will increase. Currently, you are operating at X1. Currently, you are operating at X1. Now, if I want to show the case of normal good in which my income level is rising due to increase in my income, where should be the next equilibrium? Rightwards or leftwards? Tell me, hurry up. Where should be the new equilibrium? Rightwards or leftwards? If I want to show an increase in my quantity, where should the new equilibrium be? Rightwards or leftwards? Rightwards. Excellent. And you will use this AC now to show the new equilibrium position. So I will draw my IC over here like this, from IC to IC1, sorry, IC2, equilibrium E2, and this is my new quantity, that is X2. My new quantity, that is X2. So which effect am I getting from X1 to X2? From X to X1, it was substitution effect. What will be the effect from X1 to X2? Income effect. Excellent. So what will be the effect from X1 to X2? It will be income effect. And if I sum up both of them, from X to X2, what will I get? I will get price effect or total effect. So your fifth step will be to identify income effect, and your sixth step will be to identify total effect or price effect. Now, another way to prove income effect is that if I remove this line, what do you see? Shift or tilt? You see a shift between E1 and E2. And if you see a shift, this means that I'm talking about income consumption curve and income effect. Everything clear? Now let's compare the diagrams, my diagram and examiner's diagram. This is my diagram, all right? And this is examiner's diagram. Do you see any difference Do you see any difference in both of these diagrams? Do you see any difference in both of these diagrams? Yes. Do you see any difference in this diagram and my diagram? No, right? Because the diagrams are same. It doesn't matter how you draw the diagram, but it should be correct, right? If you draw examiner's way or if you draw it my way, it doesn't actually matters. Only that thing that matters is that it should be correct. And in my diagram, you can always follow the fatwa, which you cannot do in examiner's diagram, right? So this is how you draw the income and substitution effect of price decrease, of price decrease. Now I told you that the diagram I'm drawing in front of you is an 80% diagram of the complete diagram that you will draw in your exam. Now let's complete the diagram. Let's complete the diagram. This is the diagram, right? When you are drawing an income and substitution effect, you have to show derivation as well. You have to show derivation as well. All right. Now, how will I show derivation? That's the main part, because that is where you score marks. All right. Now, we are talking about step number 7. Now, we're talking about step number 7. Show derivation. Now, tell me one thing. We're talking about normal good, right? And normal good is luxurious in nature. Normal good is expensive in nature. So what elasticity of demand will it carry? Elastic demand, inelastic demand, perfectly elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand. What is it? Normal good is luxurious in nature, right? Normal good is luxurious in nature, branded good, expensive good. So what kind of PED will it have? Greater than 1, less than 1, equals to 1, elastic, inelastic, unitary elastic. Very good. It will be having elastic demand. Why? Because it is luxurious in nature. It is expensive in nature. It is branded in nature. All right. So what you have to do is you'll show a derivation below this diagram, linking it with price elasticity of demand, linking it with PED. I have price of good X over here, price of good X and quantity of good X. All right. This is my X. All right. So what will be the derivation of? The derivation will be of total effect always. Show derivation of total effect or price effect. What will I do? From X to X2, I have my price effect or total effect, right? So I will draw these lines of X and X2 until here. This is my X, this is my X2. And because normal good is luxury in nature, it is branded in nature, it is expensive in nature. This means that my PED is elastic, elastic demand. All right, it will be elastic. So PED for this good is elastic in nature. So I will draw an elastic demand curves in the derivation below, which will clearly show that this is equilibrium. This is my current equilibrium price level. All right. And if my price level falls from P to P2, a small change in price will extend the demand by a larger percentage. The price level is falling from P to P2, whereas my equilibrium quantity is rising from X to X2, showing a very large change in my total effect of elastic of normal good. Everything clear? Now your diagram is completed 100%, and this is what you have to explain in your answer as well. Do you understand? So in what type? Yeah, we will do the question. Don't worry. Whenever there's a question related to theory of demand, and it goes something like there is a fall in price level or there is a rise in price level, you will never draw PCC or ICC. PCC and ICC were just a tool to help you understand income and substitution effect. They were just the stepping stones to reach the final destination, that is your income and substitution effect. And like I told you that you are combining both of them to draw this diagram, right? So this is when you will draw the diagram. We will also do a P4 question regarding this topic. Clear? All right, so I am showing you explanation and giving you 2 minutes to read explanation carefully, right? First, take the screenshot of this diagram because then you'll have to compare the explanation, the variables with this diagram. Did you take screenshot? All right, I'm giving you 2 to 3 minutes because it's a lengthy explanation. Read it very carefully. Are you done? Sir, in the substitution effect, it's written the person's purchasing power remains constant. No, like I told you, that this, according to this diagram, the DE part is an imaginary line which shows you that keeping your real income unchanged if your price level falls, which means that if your price level is falling by 5%, your nominal income is also falling by your nominal income is also falling by 5%, which means that your real income is unchanged. Your real income is same. So this is what this line is representing. All right. So it is telling you that if your real income is unchanged, what will be your reaction to the change in price level? So if your real income is unchanged, your natural reaction will be to buy more of good X because it is more attractive now according to law of demand. This is what substitution effect is saying you. And also, if your price level is falling, your satisfaction per dollar will increase as well from good X. So that is why you are more inclined towards good X because satisfaction per price is rising, which we learned in equi-marginal principle. Do you understand now? Right? Done with the substitution effect? This is income effect. Done?